I have a confession, 'cause confession heals the soul. Lately I've fallen down, stumbling over passing, and secrets I've held within. Lord, I'm struggling. I need you to fix my desire.
Hi, my name is my name is sorry, I meant what I meant to say was
I know what you meant.
yeah, sorry about that. I'm Noble and you are?
Lana Kane.
Lana, nice to meet you, Lana. Are you from LA? I'm privately on business here.
And apparently doing it with a fresh new take on the word private.
Oh yeah, right. Can I buy you some water? No, I mean can I buy you a drink?
Bottle of PBR.
PBR. What's that?
Pierre Beauvais. Rouge. Problem?
Oh no, it's just that I also parle le français. I can say tu es trop belle, oui.
Uh-huh.
I'd also like to say that, you know, I don't smoke, but I could blow you away
Uh-huh.
if you're interested.
I'm gonna leave you here between hope and despair.
Everybody, welcome back to Song Distillery. Joining us this week is Sara and Edwards. Thank you, Sara, for being here with us and joining us to talk about.
My pleasure.
Oh. Thank you again. We're joining and we're going over Victor's new EP and single "I Return." EP being Heartwork. Victor, this has been an incredible journey to watch you go through this, and just talking to me about it, like sharing how it's not like you just wrote a couple songs and threw it all together at last minute, but you really have been taking some of these songs have taken years to be written. So
2018.
Yeah.
Well, even before
It's
2018.
been a while. Yeah.
And that's just insane. Like, and you don't hear about projects like that so often. And, the fact that you took time to craft this, I know that this means a lot to you, and I'm excited to go and talk about this with you.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you guys, share with me in terms of this discussing the album and the EP and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I should be the one thanking you guys.
Of course. Sara, so what is your exactly, I know do you guys work with each other in terms of the music on side of things? I know that there's some dynamic of that within you guys' relationships, but I don't know the ins and outs. Do tell.
Oh, I'm not a singer. He's a singer, but
that's not true. Victor. Sara sings as well. She sings as well. So that's she's starting off with a lie, but we will overlook that.
Victor. I mean, I sing, but I'm not a singer. Like Victor is a singer.
See that, like they know each other. There's no way they don't. Like,
yeah, no way.
but Sara has been a good friend for years. A very, very, very huge support in terms of musically, ministry wise, and just as a friend. She's always been super supportive of everything that I've done. Always been the one to be like, hey, when are we getting the EP? Like Sara is that one person that ever so often she be like, boy, Victor, we've been waiting. I've been waiting.
Yes.
What's happening?
Kelly Dunn's on the chair, waiting that long.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. And like I said, you can tell the chemistry between you guys. And it's always good to have, fellow brothers and sisters who do support you in both, like not only your ministry, but your passion. It's that, that I can count the number of times where I have my friends who care about what I do artistically, but don't care about like the ministry side of things. But then I have my friends who also like don't care about the art side of things, but support whatever, if I do it in the church or something, it's rare we have those friends who are like in there and like support both. And everyone has their place. Not everybody has to be both. So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so this is super exciting to not only have Sara joining us, but just to, like I said, celebrate this project. Victor, one of the first things that I had noticed when I was dissecting this EP was just like the number of different influences I could feel from every single track. And I could tell it was a multifaceted sort of input. Like, it wasn't just like, we're gonna listen to this one type of music and then really hone in on it and recreate it.
Very dynamic.
Super dynamic. Like, you guys tell me, like, is that like the truth? Like, what was the inspirational process looking like to shape the sound of this album, more or less?
So the reason why you would have heard that sort of multi-layered texture is really because I think Heartwork in a lot of ways sums me up as a creative, in terms of a lot of my influences came through on that project. It being my debut EP, I think it was the first opportunity I really had to put out a body of work that I think would reflect quite a bit of my musical soul and just my heart for the Lord and just my perspective on the world. Right. I am a mellophile, so I listen to a lot of music. I listen to everything from classical and baroque,
opera.
Listen, everything.
The whole works, 9 yards.
You know what I mean? So because of that, all these different genres and styles have in some way, I mean, in varying degrees, of course, made inflections on and influenced my sound and my approach to songwriting. And so that would account for why there is that sort of, multi-layered approach. It wasn't like I got up and said, I'm going to make this song sound like there are lots of influences. No, it was really just when I got to writing or when I got to composing, a number of different influences would have naturally come out. And then I think the other half of that dynamic is a part I can't even take credit for, because Heartwork EP is a composite of a number of different creatives. So even though I would have written and composed the melodies and the words for all the songs, when you get a live band together to play music, each of these musicians are coming with their individual influences and this kind of sounds that they have been listening to, you know what I mean? So when Chad plays the bass, his tone is going to be 15 different basses that he's influenced by, you know what I mean? And then LJ is a pianist, so he's coming with his 35 different musicians he's listening to, and so all of that kind of comes together, to make that happen.
That's so dope. And I was about to start. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sara.
Oh, yeah. Shawn, I was saying, before we even delve into the EP, Heartwork, tell us, for those who are just probably tuning in for the first time, who is Victor Brown?
Victor Brown, I am a Christian creative. I'm a multi-passionate creative, which means I have a number of things that I'm passionate about. My creativity typically takes the form of singing, songwriting, creating music and musical production, along with writing. I really enjoy writing. So part of what I do is lead Creative Tribe. Creative Tribe Writers does weekly articles and inspirational devotionals and that sort of thing. And so writing, musical creativity, and now I'm doing a lot more creative directorships. I'm helping other creatives do the driving work behind what they're doing, either musically or otherwise. So that pretty much, I think, is in a nutshell who I am. I mean, there's so much more, but I think musically and creatively that sums up quite a bit of who I am. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I'm a born again believer. That will never change. That has always been the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And disclaimer, I often put you in the category of a gospel artiste. However,
there's this debate.
Shawn, I always call him a gospel artiste. I refer to him as, Victor Brown. Why you look at his facial expression? But he doesn't subscribe to that. Why, Victor? Why?
All right. So I actually had a talk with, I think it was DJ Rebirth on Love the other day, because we were talking about the same thing. I shared with him. All right, so I don't have any hatred for the title gospel artist. I think there are people who this term very, very accurately describes. For me, however, personally, I think where it becomes a little bit problematic for me is that usually when the term gospel artist is used, there's a lot of assumptions. There are a lot of assumptions and expectations that are attached to that term, particularly the frequency with which you're going to create music. You know what I mean? So let me give you an example. And Sean, pardon me for slipping into the Jamaican
No.
Creole, the patois for this part. Like, Sarah, you know if you're an artist, right? And
Yeah,
you do your EP now. By 6 months' time, people see them and say, "Oh, I go an artist, we not get the new music." You know what I mean? And it's kind of like this expectation that you know every you're gonna keep. And I mean, for me, my musical timetable is really dependent on the Lord. Like, Lord, when would you have me release something? That's what determines for me, as opposed to like, I'm not approaching this as a career where my career timeline and my production team and marketing team are like, hey, this next song is released for X, is scheduled for X days, so you need to get this done. You know what I mean? So the driving force is not the industry demand for my artistry, which is what it is for a gospel artist. For me, it's just, I'm a guy that just loves Jesus and I love music, and you know, occasionally I'll share stuff. You know what I mean? So
occasionally, I love how you said it. Disclaimer. Occasionally. Yeah. Okay. Nice. So I don't want to really take over the Shawn, but I want to go ahead and ask, what is the EP Heartwork about? You have 7 tracks on it. Yes. But what is it really about? Tell us about that.
All right. So Heartwork EP is a composite of a number of songs. These songs are all original songs, and they span a number of genres. The genres include, but it's not exclusive to, but it includes gospel, jazz, funk, pop, a little bit of trap, definitely a lot of soul, and a little, those are, I think, the primary genres that, and a little bit of R&B that are reflected on the record. Now, in terms of what the stories of each of these songs are about, I mean, each of these songs have a story of their own, which is why I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to dissect the EP kind of song by song this week, focusing on I Return, and in the coming weeks looking at other songs, because I feel like each of these songs has so much packed into it. But together, Heartwork represents a Christian creative sharing out of his journey with the Lord, and as a human being experiences, as a believer experiences, as a man, things that I would have seen and experienced, and my personal reflection. Some of the stories are very vulnerable. I Return, for example, it's a very, very vulnerable song. You know what I mean?
We're gonna get into that, right?
Yeah. So Heartwork, the title is a play on words, because the prefix H is he. And then, of course, the latter half is artwork, and it speaks to he being God, and artwork meaning that it is his artwork. We are his artwork. The Bible talks about us as believers being, the handiwork of God. We are his masterpieces, and so he artwork, and that comes together. Because I found that over my life, God has had to consistently remind me that he's working on my heart. There are different things in my heart that he's working on. And so that journey is kind of his artwork, you know what I mean? Changing up my heart and making things more like him and that sort of thing. So he artwork, Heartwork. So yeah, that's
Shawn.
Kind of about fire.
Shawn, funny enough, I was just about to ask, how did you come up with the word hard work? But then you just dissected that. And of course, that's why we're having this discussion, right?
Yeah. Right.
So let me just say, your first track on your EP, you have I Return, that is the leading single on that EP. Mm-hmm. So it's like a sequence.
Yeah.
You return Humble, that's the second track. Dusty Shelf. I'm just realizing this, Dusty Shelf.
That was very deliberate.
I didn't even see that. Good, nice.
Oh, Consistent Love, Shawn. Yeah. Then we have the conversation. So after you feel the consistent love, you have that conversation. Yeah. Then Trust You More. So after the conversation, I really need to trust God more now.
Yeah, right.
Shawn, pardon me if you're not understanding my.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm understanding.
And then the last track, Wonder. Victor, I must congratulate you again. I'm expressing the same sentiments as Shawn on this beautiful EP that you have done. It has 7 tracks, and Distillery is all about dissecting, as we mentioned earlier, this EP. Yeah. So
thank you.
Beautiful. Shawn.
This has been like, just watching you guys go back and forth. I'm like, man, I need to take a trip down to see you guys, because I'm just
You
the
do,
vibes,
you do.
the vibes.
Yes,
But,
yes.
no, seriously though, like I think just the sentiment. I was thinking about it too, Victor. You know, the concept that we are God's artwork, and but it's also heart work, and like
Yeah.
it is really that kind of the juxtaposition and the double entendre, like that play, even just that the fact that like that exists, things like that always speak to me more. Like, you know, God is like just huge and like does like things like that are like we don't really take the time to consider, and then people kind of just like walk around feeling like, oh, God's this like, you know, upper being who is super detached from reality, you can't access him, he isn't close to you. But you know, he really is like doing his artwork is to perfect us into the image of God, into Christ, you know what I mean? So it's just really cool that, you know, you caught that and you made it, it's like you took that motif and you stuck it in a bottle, and like you captured that like snapshot of like that feeling into this record. And it is just, you know, from like we were just talking about with like the different like inspirations you have, the different styles that go into the music. There's so much art to it and so much care that it's like just the entendres of Heartwork and caring about the project. I can see it from all aspects, not just, you know, listening to the music itself, but like just seeing how you went through this process to create this this awesome work of art.
Yes.
Just another question I had, you know, just thinking back, because you mentioned some names that I know I'm a little familiar with because I kind of know you and the people that, you know, you've introduced me to. But tell me more, if you can, about the musicians on this record and, you know, how much they've contributed. Did anybody have any hand in the writing for any of the melodies or even the lyrics, or, you know, was that all sort of you thing, or, you know, just break that down for us?
So, and this is specifically with regard to I Return.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of meant it more as in general, but yeah, definitely for I Return.
All right, so for I Return, because I mean there are a number of people that I worked with on the entire EP. The musicians more or less remained consistent throughout the tracks, but there's some of the songs are specific to certain musicians. But for I Return, definitely Javis McIntosh and Jeff. Jeff and Javis were the production minds that oversaw the entire EP.
Yes.
So Javis McIntosh from Pioneer, you know, he runs Pioneer, and Jeff from Covenant Entertainment Jamaica. So they would have handled recording, engineering, primarily Jeff, editing, editing primarily Javis, mixing and mastering would have been done primarily by Jeff. But there is a real testimony behind I Return in particular. I think I'd like to share, because when I started the process of recording these songs, and we got I Return recorded with the live instruments, because I love live performance, I love live music.
Me too.
That's my heart. That's my heart, you know. And so we got that done. But then I kind of felt like when I got by the recordings, I kind of felt like, this is nice, but I don't feel like it's completely reflecting what I composed, as in what I felt musically and otherwise, you know. And there's a sense in which when one is composing music outside of the culture that musical art form is endemic to, it can be tricky. So the song has trap elements, hip hop elements, soul elements that are not endemic to Jamaica. It's a United States kind of style of music, something that's definitely more prevalent in the States. And so I was like, well,
contemporary.
You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, I thought it through a little bit, and you know, I just took a leap of faith. If anybody that knows me closely enough knows that, yo, one thing about me is I'm going to do some bodacious, wild, you know, stuff. So I had this thought because I was on Instagram one day and I saw Mali Music go live with one of his producers. I call Mali Morgan. Yes. Anybody know me know I love Mali. It's not somebody that I imitate or mimic.
Yeah.
But I definitely admire him. I respect his work a lot. You know what I mean? I remember somebody said to me, "Yo, this song give me a Mali vibes," and I had to like be, yeah, it was cool, but this song was written before I even knew Mali. I wrote this song back when I was like 18, 19 years old, and I found out about Mali when I was like 21 years old. So it was
wait.
Yeah.
Can we just pause a moment?
Yeah.
Shawn,
Yeah.
so you said when you were what? 17, 18?
I was 18, 19 when I wrote I Return. I was in my mom's house and the Lord was dealing with my heart. Wow. And I wrote I Return as a recommitment to the Lord in terms of personal pursuit or righteousness and stuff. Yeah.
And you released this song in 2021.
There you go.
There's a story in that.
November.
There's a lot of stories in that. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I soon get to like the time delay, but there is Mali going live on IG with Michael Morgan. And I was on the live and I was like, yo, these guys are absolutely killing it in terms of what they're creating, because they were creating some beats on IG live. And I was like, yo, this is the sound that I'm going for with I Return. When I composed it, there was an authenticity to the trap and that kind of vibe that I was hearing in my creative mind that I just didn't know how to execute with the live instruments. And so, of course, I took a leap of faith and I sent a direct message to Mike and I was like, hey, I'm a Christian creative from Jamaica and I am working on an EP. It's not for profit. It's just my debut EP. It's a passion project. And I'd be immensely honored if you'd be willing to come on board and to assist with, just kind of making the song a little bit more in terms of what, what wants to accomplish. And to my surprise, to my delight and surprise, he was chill. He was like, yeah, sure, send it over. And so I called Javis same time. I was like, Javis, I just got on a Mali's producers, bro. I'm like, bro, I was going crazy. I played it off and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll send it over. But I was going crazy. I was like,
you were elated, man.
I was, and I was like, Javis, let's send it over. So we emailed it to him. This guy took probably a week and a half or so, sent it back to us. And when he did, he had chopped it up a lot more. He had chopped it up a bit more. He had laid some bass lines because he's a multi-instrumentalist. So he laid some new bass on it. And he did some trap effects and some different filters and stuff that made it feel a lot more like what I was hearing creatively when I composed it. So big shout out, massive shout out to Michael Morgan. And the crazy thing is Mikey is a Jamaican born dude. He lives in the States. He's big, but he has Jamaican parentage. So that was a whole other crazy part of that connection.
Jamaican roots.
Yo, God, Jamaica everywhere,
Like, I'm so excited, and it's not even my EP, but I'm always excited and cheering you on big time.
Yeah.
Just so excited. And just to backtrack a bit, I noticed that the album, the EP, it has 7 tracks, and that's God's perfect number. Was that deliberate?
Just saying.
It wasn't deliberate, actually. It wasn't deliberate at all. I'll be honest, it wasn't deliberate, but I guess God has his hand in everything, and him kind of work it out that way.
Right. Why 7?
Yeah, there's no specific reason, because the truth is, originally in my track count, I had 6 tracks in mind because the convo was a part of Trust You More. But then when myself and the production team, that's Javis particularly, sat down to talk about the release on the streaming platforms and stuff, the recommendation was made that, we'll cut it into the convo as an interlude and do the track separately. Just, for ease of play, somebody who wants to go straight into Trust You More without the conversation before, that kind of vibe, they have that convenience instead of having to skip ahead, try to guesswork where the convo ends and the music starts. And so that's how it ended up being 7 songs as opposed to 6. And that was like right before release. So yeah, I guess God worked it out that way. Yeah.
He did. He did. So let's now zoom into the song, your leading single again on that EP, I Return, Victor Brown. Yeah, so we're about to hear that song in its entirety right now.
I have a confession, 'cause confession heals the soul. Lately I've fallen down, stumbling over past sins and secrets I've held within. Lord, I'm struggling. I I need you to fix my desire and take me higher in you, God. Yeah, 'cause I need to know why I do what I do, when I do what I do, and I sin against you, God. Yeah, what can I do, God? Oh my Lord, I'll return. Oh, I'll return. Yeah, I'll return to truth, and I'll return. Oh, I'll return. Yeah, and I'll return to you. I take 2 steps forward, yeah, and 9 back. It makes me wonder, yeah, what I lack. You see, I'm watching other Christians do, and I do what they do, but I still disobey you. And I'm so frustrated with my progress. Lord, I thought I would be finished with this process, but my deceitful heart led me astray. My desires drag me away, but I don't wanna stay. I don't wanna stay here no more. I'll return. Oh, I'll return. Yeah, I'll return to truth, and I'll return. Oh, I'll return. Yeah, and I'll return to you. I don't wanna stay. I don't wanna stay here in this wilderness alone. Now I can finally see that this isn't for me. I should be at your throne. I don't wanna stay. I don't wanna stay in this wilderness alone. Now I can finally see that this isn't for me, me. I should be at your throne. I don't wanna stay, yeah. I don't wanna stay in this wilderness alone. Now I can finally say this isn't for me. I should be
Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Here's the first step that I will make or take on
Yeah.
that. That's your final words on that song, right? And that's the
Yeah,
first track.
it's
Everything
crazy
is
though,
just so.
because that ending is an alternative ending. Meaning what happens is when I wrote the song originally, I wrote, um, is it too late for me? I don't think so. Devil, you're a liar. You wanted me to let go. I'm not too far gone. I'm back where I belong. That's where I am strong. And then I sang, it's a long journey to correct my mistakes, but here's the first step I'll take. But when we went into the studio and we were recording it, after much discussion and like deliberation regarding the endings, we agreed that the better way out would have been to cut a couple of those words out of the center and just splice the first half of the third verse and the last like two lines, and that's what we went with as the ending. So yeah.
I love it. Shawn, no, I had the privilege of hearing Victor with his song.
Oh,
Matter of
yeah.
fact, with his entire
Seriously.
EP in 2018 live.
Mhm.
It was
What?
live. I was there, Shawn. You should have been there, Shawn.
We didn't meet yet. So that's the only problem, man.
Yeah, we didn't even know each other.
It was amazing.
Muse,
They help me with the terms now, Victor, because you're the musical guru here. So the percussionists
No
and
guru. Yeah, it was a good night.
lights,
It was Muse. Yeah.
smoke. We had smoke.
I
I
don't
don't
remember.
remember.
Did we have smoke? I don't honestly don't remember if we had smoke. We might have had smoke from the restaurant though. Probably just not our smoke, but there was smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a really awesome night. Honestly, Muse will forever go down in my mind as one of the most
Yes.
beautiful times for me, because before that point, I had never had the opportunity to fully explore my own music. That was the first time in my life that I was able to, uninterrupted, just in my own space, um, enjoy these songs. Like, some of these songs were only ever performed there. Songs like Wonder was only ever performed there at Muse. You know what I mean? It's never been performed live anywhere else yet. Let's see what the Lord does. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
yeah, it was a really great night.
All
Wow.
right.
It's like good art never dies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. You're speaking. Yeah. You
Yeah,
really.
it's like
Shawn.
and it's really cool though, you know, because like it always reminds me, and I'm sure countless others out there, like if you are a creative person and you know you're not, because we live in like a world where it's like you have to just keep doing and keep
Yep.
doing to, you know, be
Yep.
recognized. You know, that's not how God works. Like God
Yeah.
recognizes hard work, ambition,
Mhm.
talent, and all those things are things from God anyway.
Mhm.
So if you have them, you're really using them, you know, because he gave you access to it. But it's just a good reminder for us to not be so pressed to constantly have to make music, or make art, whatever you do,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and you know, feel the burnout from that and not even put out good art. But like Victor, I mean,
Exactly.
like you were just saying, some of these songs have been around for a while, for a couple of years, and it's
Listen.
just cool and inspiring to
It's more than
see.
couple shot, actually.
You know what?
Well,
All
I
right.
mean, yeah, right,
Sorry, you've
right.
made your point. Okay. Sorry, you've made your point. Get over it. It's out now. Let it go.
Okay, let it go. All right. Now, how did you come up with the title of this song, Victor? I Return.
I return. That title came to me because that was the first part of the song that I wrote. I heard the hook before anything else. I heard the I return
Mm,
to truth. I return to you. I heard that hook in my head and in my mind and in my heart. Because I mean, at 18, 19, so I met the Lord at 5 years old, was water baptized, Holy Ghost filled at 7. It grew in a Christian home, very
Hallelujah.
sheltered,
mm,
very sheltered
Yes.
till about 12. But then, encountering the culture shock of high school, encountering just having to contend with temptations and adolescence and puberty and life, and just all the milieu of things that every young adult Christian has to encounter and deal with. In a lot of ways, my faith like took the back burner in my teenage years, just with me trying to figure out life and who I was and all that vibe. And so while I was still a believer, in a lot of ways, the active pursuit of God had waned. And when the Lord began to draw me in a very serious way back to himself, like, yo, I want you, sir. I Return was the song, was the response, you heard Travis Green saying about my response to you. I'll respond. That the response was, Lord, I return. I'm making a commitment to pursue you afresh. I won't be perfect, but I'm recommitting myself to the pursuit of the Lord. And so I heard the hook first, I heard the refrain first before the rest of it began to come together. And so that's how the name came about.
Well, it is very personal. You mentioned that earlier. Why is it so personal to you?
It's that personal because, first of all, as a creative, I try to write very vulnerable art. And I think that's deliberate. I don't do very well creating stuff that are kind of just have high production value and low relatability. I'm not really good at that kind of vibe. Like, okay, I'm just going to make a nice song. For me, every time I go to compose, my natural approach, the posture I very easily assume is one of, okay, what do I connect with? What can I speak about that, is close to my heart, that I feel, that I know, that I can relate to, that I understand, that I feel like, a number of people can tap into. And then outside of that, the reality is every song on Heartwork was written, none of them were written with an EP in mind. None of them were written with the thought of sharing them with anybody, right? Because never. When I wrote all those songs that are on the EP, every single one except Trust You More. Trust You More was the last song that was written, and so by that time, the EP was already on the way. But for all the others, those were written when I didn't have even the faintest idea in my mind that I'd be doing an EP. I wasn't planning to release any of these songs. I just wrote them as songs between myself and God. So outside of my notebook or my notes and the Lord, nobody else knew about them. I wasn't trying to get them known by anybody. Humbly enough, I shared at Still Waters, and I think one other perhaps, but there wasn't the idea of, okay, this song is going to be on a record, so I need to write it a certain way. And so I think the beauty of that organic writing process is that it eliminated the fear of, I wonder what people are going to think when I say this. I wonder what people are going to think when I write this, because I wasn't writing it for anybody. I was writing it just to pour my heart to the Lord. And so it was that raw and that vulnerable because that was the space I was in. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
Cool. All right, we're back. We're sorry about that, you guys. We just had a, Victor's a little stingy and we're on free Zoom.
What?
I'm just Bro! I'm just playing. I didn't have to call him out.
You're bad for that.
I had. Oh man, but no, we are back, and we're gonna wrap up our conversation a little bit on I Return, and after listening to that, I just sonically, like everything that, and for a little context for everybody who may not know what I do, I'm a music producer, so I pay attention to
Shawn.
Hey,
and you kept it away? Victor.
Yeah.
Nice.
He keeps it under wrap. No, I mean, honestly, I'm not good at marketing myself, so that's part of it too.
Yeah. I've been pushing Shawn though. Shawn is a part of my creative mentorship group, so we're working on pushing Shawn to pursue the craft and to share it with the world and to do more creatively. So yeah, looking forward to seeing lots of greatness from Shawn in the coming months and years.
So Shawn could have helped me with the musical terms I was trying to look for, but
he could have. He left you out there to drown. That's his nature.
I know, and I can't even swim.
I'm sorry. Next time I won't do that to you. I will be more on top of it.
Yeah.
But like as I was saying, like listening to I Return, I can tell that like it's not just like you said you wanted the trap elements, but I can to the sonic detail, like the hi-hats that were in there were either they were programmed, but they had this like reverb on it that made it still feel live. Elements like that are what make tracks sound super fresh and super cool, because you're taking the elements of like a live sound, but you're trying to make it sonic, like the what's happening in the States with trap and or in the West really. But it just getting that level of production down right. And I know that you had some help
Yes.
from, remind me of the man's name. It's
Mikey Morgan. Yeah.
Okay, I need to get hip. I need to really
Mikey.
Mikey.
Give him nickname as well, Mikey.
Yeah, no, that's actually his name on IG, Mikey Morgan, I believe. Just Mikey is the moniker he goes by. Yeah, man, that's the name he goes by. Yeah, just Mikey.
Nice.
Really
and how do we
cool
find
guy.
you on? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying he's a really cool guy. You can go ahead.
And while we're at it, you can just give us your IG handle as well.
Oh yeah. So my Instagram handle is I am Victor.Brown. So I am Victor _Brown.
All right.
All right,
back.
Follow him.
Follow him, guys.
But listen, I think that's when you have producers who, even if like you're outsourcing it, I think when you have that level of dedication to that sort of sound, it's telling. And I have to commend you guys on that, because I know that you may have just thought of it in like your head as like this is what I want, and then I know stuff like when I do something like that, I tell somebody else, I'm like, hey, it'd be cool if it sounded like this, and then they do it. I don't think I can take credit for it because they're the ones who did it, but it's your idea. And I can tell that like that's the basis of the most of the music that you put out is like you have this idea, but you have talented friends around you and people who work with you that just pour into your vision, and that's just so cool. I
want to take a second and just honestly thank the people that worked with me on Heartwork. I mean, too many names to list, but I can talk about like I Return in particular. So I wrote the song. Javis did the production in terms of studio engineering, primarily for the recording of the stuff. Michael Morgan, of course, would have done the programming and digitized a lot of the sounds and moved the sonic from straight live instruments to the trap vibe, played some bass on it as well. So big up Mikey. LJ Reed. Anybody knows LJ knows that LJ is a maestro, right? I've had the joy and the beauty of working with LJ for a number of years now. LJ went to Ulmos, I went to Ulmos for a period of my life as well. And so that's where we first met. And this guy has been just really good from those days, come straight up the line. Chadwick Morgan.
That's a high school. That's high school for you, Shawn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what you guys would call middle school, I think, Shawn. Yeah, in Jamaica we call it high school. So then LJ, so there's LJ, and Chadwick Morgan also attended Wilmer's High School for Boys. And so that's where I first met Chad as well, and we've
big clique.
Yeah, we've been friends because I was a part of the choir there, so that's where I first met them. And we've just been friends. Yeah, we've just been friends from that time straight back. So big up Chad for playing some bass and that as well. Joel Grant played drums. So all the drums that you hear there, Joel Grant would have played drums. BGV supporting vocals. I was trying to get Alicia Taylor and Carl Lee Smith tonight, but they've been busy. You know them a superstar already. Yes. You know, Alicia Taylor sang BGVs and Carl Lee Smith. Crazy story. Lee Smith actually gave me vocal coaching for the first time. I did like a live performance singing thing at Ulmos. I did a song called Without You, and he was the person that helped me to kind of get the stuff right. You know what I mean?
What was that?
As a first former with my little high pre-puberty voice.
First of all.
Lee Smith is the son of who was the then guidance counselor, Rosalie Smith. And so he was always, by Ulmos from time to time because his mom worked there and stuff. And that's how I met him. And then years later, as the Lord would have it, he, was able to sing on the track. So when you hear those nice BGVs come in, after the bridge and thing, that's Ali and that's Lee.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the photography was done by Will Twart. Really dope guy as well, photographer Will Twart. Really, really, really chill guy. He and I have maintained that friendship, and mixing and mastering and the digital design was done by Jeff Clark. I also met Jeff at Ulmos. I think this is actually the first time I'm realizing how many Ulmerians are on this project. Big up Ulmos.
Big up Ulmos.
There's LJ, there's myself, there's Jeff. And Lee wasn't a Ulmerian, but he was, always there because of his mom. So I guess he's an honorary Ulmerian.
Wow. Yeah. But it's like just so cool that, you never know who's gonna, be poured, like you're put into your life for a reason. Like
Yeah.
that's so cool. I'm slightly envious because a lot of kids that I came up with.
Yeah.
Not that there are plenty of talented kids around, but we just weren't vibing like that. Like like when I like showed my beats, they're like, oh, that's interesting, and then they just kind of like
that's it. Else. That just works.
Oh, well, listen. It's not about that. It's just cool though to see it. To see music.
Oh, they gel.
And, like, yeah, right. Like just and like because you guys all came from like a different like or different, not different, but the same background, kind of more or less, and like you grew up together. Like that adds a whole nother element of cohesion to your sound.
Yeah,
I definitely think that's where that comes from. I was literally thinking, I'm like, the group like together as a band, like on I Return, but throughout the whole EP, really, like you guys sound like a band that's been touring together. First time I
for ages, right?
No joke. First time I heard I Return, and then I listened through the EP, I said to myself, this sounds like, and don't take this the wrong way, but it sounds like Disney musical Broadway quality. Like, and those guys are like, I know of
high quality. Yeah,
I know a handful of musicians. I also play saxophone, so like I'm in the saxophone live band thing in the scene. I know of members who actually played on Broadway, who've done shows like that, and just knowing their musicianship levels, I'm like, I can compare it to what you guys put together for all these tracks, and I'm like, man, this group like is so tight, and like just the quality is like, it is high caliber, period.
Yeah, I definitely second that, Shawn. These guys, Chris Campbell played guitar on it. These guys all together were brilliant. I mean, when they played live at Muse, I remember rehearsals sometimes 3:00 in the morning with these guys. And I'm telling you, like, they're each very devoted musicians. And if like something about me is that I genuinely am driven in my creativity and composition by a central thought that God is worthy of the best. Like I believe he deserves the best. And if like people who converse with me frequently, or if you know me closely, you know that one of the biggest, I don't even want to call it a pet peeve because it's a major issue for me, is when believers don't allow their love for God to inform what they produce unto the Lord. So whatever it is, whatever you produce, whatever you do, the Bible talks about doing it as unto God. And so for me, that means it must be done on a certain excellent standard. Because I mean, there are a number of musicians that could have been worked with on this project, but when I went to prayer and like the Lord began to like indicate who I should reach out to, each of these guys in their own right are very, very, very excellent at what they do. And they allow their love for the Lord to flow through their musicality. They play unto the Lord. You know what I mean? And so the cohesion would have come from that common objective, because even though we went to like Wilmers together, I went to Wilmers from first to third form before I went back into private schooling. And so like we weren't, it's not, and they were like, Chad was a couple years ahead of me. LJ was a couple years my senior. So we weren't like in the same classroom, you know what I mean? But we just knew each other in choir. We just knew, that's the keysy from choir, that's the bassy from choir, and that you sings on choir kind of vibe. And Jeff, of course, was around, you know what I mean? But when we would have reconnected as adults, the thing that we had in common was, hey, let us all be excellent for the Lord. Let us all give him the excellence of who we are. And that common meeting place, I think, was really what made this such a fun project. Wow. I pray to God for the honor to play with all of these guys again. And I mean, to work with other musicians. No, I'm working with a lot of other musicians, because I'm working on some new music and stuff. And my heart's longing is, God, I pray that you will allow us to both have this view of let's give God the best together kind of vibe, because that's a very unique space to create. Right.
Great. Did you just say you're working on new music? Shawn, you heard that, right?
I think he whispered it, but yeah, I heard something like that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm working on some stuff, working on composing again, and working with some musicians and stuff. So let's see what the Lord does. No promises, because I'm not a gospel artist. You understand what I'm saying?
No pressure.
Timing is all based upon the Holy Spirit. You know?
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
You gotta take the time.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. But thank you again, just for allowing us to, relate to you and hear your expressions in your music. Like, thank you for being vulnerable, because that's you know what makes the art beautiful. I don't think it would have been the same if you you know, if you were to hold back anything, like any part of it, like, you know, your inspirations, your convictions from God, like your past, if you held any of that back, like it would not have, I don't personally, for me, it would have had the same level of impact. I was like in my car today, like I was listening to the EP, and I was like about to start crying, bro. Like no
yeah.
Like I'm getting hit by it, and I don't cry. Like, I'm not, and to be honest, I'm not like a huge, like I'm not into like super feelings based like, you know, praise music, and like not that it's bad. And I obviously love God, love worship, but you know, it's more like, you know, the Hillsong, the Bethel, when you listen to it so much, it's just like it's lost flavor really, and it's not really emotionally doesn't do anything. But when I listen to like I Return, especially because like just how relatable it is, it's just like, man, like that really got me in my feels.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, well done, Victor.
I'm glad it blessed you guys. Thanks so much for sharing this space with me and allowing me the room to have the conversations about my art and about my journey with this song and with this EP, because that's an honor, that's a blessing. So thanks, guys.
Hard work. This is the first step we're taking. This is our first episode of 6, right, Victor?
Yep.
Yes. So this is the first step. This is the last line in your song, I Return.
Here's the first
step.
I see what you did there.
So until the next time, we will return.
That's
return.
Right.
Right. Yeah. We will return next time. Thank you.
Thank you guys for checking us out. Hope you guys come back next week. Be sure to follow through the description to check all this socials, all that information. We pray that this bless you. Feel free to leave any comments or anything.
And subscribe.
Yes. Like, subscribe, share, for sure.
Hit the notification bell so you can know when we have posted a video. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll